right, and now joining us for our official marble competition coverage is Ian Lenahan. Welcome, Ian.
What's up, dude? It's not even unofficially official. It's pretty damn official.
I'd like to think that we're going to pave the way for a league that already has 1.13 million followers to make it big time on our big time podcast.
I know John Oliver, one of my comedian idols, is the one who's sponsoring this with all the big bucks, but is he really driving home the marketing aspect, or is it the Corey Walsh Podcast?
Yeah, I'd like to think that in some way we have the same charm that John Oliver has, minus the British accent, minus the money and funding, but the same laughs.
Minus the wild success. Mr. Oliver, if you're somehow listening, I love you so damn much.
And we would love to both have you on the Corey Walsh Podcast for a Marble Olympics coverage episode.
Please consider. It'll change your life.
But that's how we will truly know if he watches the Marble Olympics.
That's true.
He could just throw it out there as a nameless sponsor.
It's got to mean more than that, Corey.
In a world that is not full of sports these days and not full of laughs, I think the Marble Olympics could truly make its impact on the country here.
This is keeping people sane. This is the reason that I'm going to bed at night, at least some version of happy,
I 100% agree. And with that, we're going to now talk about the marble games, the last marble standing. Our unofficial official sponsor is Arla Cravendale, the fresh milk that lasts longer. And let me tell you, I have not gotten any shipments of that milk, but I'm going to unbiasedly say it does last longer.
If we're talking milk, I'm surprised that someone like Gorelick Farms or Hood or someone like that didn't make a bigger play for the last marble standing, but Cravendale.
Who knew Cravendale had the funds to outcompete those big names?
I've never heard of Cravendale before, so this is probably big for them.
I don't know what the launching bid was for Cravendale to get this title, but it had to be something.
It kind of makes you wonder. Yeah, it kind of makes you wonder what the other main players in terms of sponsoring the last marble standing were. I feel like maybe other competitors for the namesake of this event were maybe like some Phil Swift products or something. Or
what do you think were the biggest companies that missed out on sponsoring this Marble Olympics? I think Home Depot, Ace Hardware, and maybe Home Goods missed out on these events.
Those are some very home-friendly, housewarming maintenance sort of companies you're thinking of, and somehow a milk company beat them all out. That'd be interesting. I'd love to get some sort of an exhaustive list going of who was really bidding on the last marble standing.
Did COVID hurt funding?
What was that?
Did COVID hurt funding?
I don't think it's out of the picture, Mr. Walsh. I really do think that Phil Swift made a play for this at some point. Maybe flex tape? I don't know.
All the events are covered, like the ramps are glistened with flex tape, which is a great surface to let the marble slide at a faster velocity than normal. Some say performance enhancing. You comment below.
Some people say for any major sporting event or any sort of event that needs some sort of coverage, people want a guest commentator. People want someone popular in water culture, maybe someone like Dave Portnoy from Barstool, like Joe Rogan from the Joe Rogan podcast. I would want Phil Swift. I think there's just so much about him that really pertains to the contemporary American audience. Really knows how to grasp a viewer's attention.
I think this is one Simon Cowell away from being a big product.
John Oliver is the last marble standing Simon Cowell.
What is the Marble Olympics without one douchey British guy saying it's shit for the entire time?
One snarky. John Oliver's not snarky again. I love you so much.
Oh, no. I was talking about Simon Cowell.
Yeah, fuck that guy. I can't stand him.
That being said, Simon Cowell, I love you on America's Got Talent and American Idol, British Idol? Wait, no, American Idol.
What the two? Wasn't he on X Factor too?
A lot of things.
Regardless, Randy Jackson had his number, and that's all I'm going to say about
Paula Abdul was a close second.
And those 2 seasons with Piers Morgan were epic.
The way that him and Simon never got along, but always seemed to get together to shit on Paula, awesome work. Good job, guys.
Who has the bigger British dick, Piers or Simon? Stay tuned.
Comment below. All right, so as the unofficial, as I said, unofficial official podcast of the Marble Games, Last Marble Standing, sponsored by Arla Cravendale, the unofficial official sponsor of the Corey Walsh Podcast. This
Yes, sir.
took place in the Craven Dome in the United Kingdom. God, what a beautiful place, I gotta say.
That, potentially the eighth wonder of the world.
I was gonna say ninth because I feel like the rivers of Durham, New Hampshire get underrated. But
You might be right.
I think Craven Dome is obviously one of the best man-made marvels of all time, with the Eiffel Tower and with the Washington Monument.
Yes, sir. I feel kind of dumb right now. Are there 7 wonders of the world or 8? Did I just get the number wrong?
There are 7, I think.
Thank God. I'm really, really counting on you for that one.
I'm not going to fact check you here, but I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that there are 7.
Please don't, and I hope any viewer who might have connections in terms of who decides the wonders of the world, I really hope they consider the Craven Dome.
I also hope the viewers out there have an internet browser and can just look up how many wonders of the world there are, because obviously we don't.
I bet Simon Cowell is on the panel of people who figure out the wonders of the world.
One Direction, yes. We were also honored at the Craven Dome for this last marble standing by having the Duke and Duchess of Craven there, which I have to say, unlike Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, is that the
Meghan Markle, yeah.
Is that the couple or?
Yeah, that's them, the ones who bolted.
Let me just say, they've taken their spot quite nicely.
Talk about royalty with class. Everyone wants to talk about Kate and William, but now that they're really established in family life with their 3 kids, George, Charlotte, and I believe the third one's name is Louis, if I have that right. It's really nice to see someone like the Duke and Duchess of Craven come up and really assume the title of what young royalty is supposed to look like and what it means to show up for your people.
I think the people of Craven were very excited to see them make it as such an event. I noticed also there were no masks there, so those numbers are going to spike.
The CDC is on fire right now.
Forget the protests. There's a huge thing going on at Craven.
The WHO is having a field day.
After being dropped by Donald Trump, they are now extremely concerned that the Duke and Duchess of Craven are not protected by masks.
Simon Cowell says everyone should shun them.
And Randy Jackson says, yes.
They're fine with me, dog.
I don't know, dog. Those masks, not a fan.
It really was great to have the Duke and Duchess present to see the wonders of the last marble standing.
It was nice to know that in a world of fear right now due to COVID, that the Duke and Duchess aren't afraid and are a symbol of power in the British community.
You need that authority to step up.
F Brexit, am I right?
Exactly.
All right, so the 6 teams that were announced for the last marble standing were Team Purity, Team Milky Madness, the Skimmers, Dairy Dash, the Freshers, and Grays of Glory. And obviously, me and Ian had to establish our favorite teams. We made sure that they weren't the same. But I'm going to run through the rosters real quick. Team Purity is led by Coach Poncho, the Captain Pierce, Puro, Pura, Puri, and Perry. Ian, what was the next team?
Milky Madness is led by Coach Maurice. On the field, led by Captain Mike. And then there's Mikey. Looks like Michelle or Michael, excuse me, Mickey, and then Michelle.
And then there was my team, which I have announced as the Skimmers, with good old Coach Slim, Captain Skimmy, Jimmy, Timmy, Shimmy, and Sean. A powerhouse.
They sound like they need their own TLC show.
It sounds like a K+8 spinoff if I've ever heard it.
Yes, exactly. Next up, we got Dairy Dash, led by Coach 4-Pint. That's crazy. Captain Buttercup. And then there's Yogi, M-Shakes, Cheesy, and Cremo, which, to be frank, was my high school nickname.
So I can't hate on Cremo.
Cremo Linehan coming up to theology class.
Then the Freshers came in hot with the best coach name, I think, of all of them, with Dr. Fresh. And then we got Captain Frankie. then Roman, Eli, Stewart, and from the 1960 favorite drama, Henrietta.
The Freshers were my team, just to throw that in. More on that later. And then Grays of Glory, the sixth and final team in Last Marble Standing, led by Captain Bluebell. I read that wrong, and you knew what I was going to say. Or no, Coach Bluebell, excuse me. Captain Daisy, and then there's Blaze, Rays, and Meadow.
I don't know if you guys have...
Meadow was definitely an oopsie.
I feel like every last team member was like, they kind of threw a dart against the wall, and they're like, we're just going to take the guy with the name that doesn't make any sense for this entire team. I think it's a three-way tie for me between Cremo, Henrietta, and Meadow for weirdest last team member.
I'm Team Cremo if we're talking individuality. And nostalgia.
From my high school glory days. I have to admit, though, it was kind of tough for me. I kind of wanted to pick Dairy Dash because the names are very out there. Between 4-Pint, Buttercup, Yogi, M-Shakes, Cheesy, and Cremo. But I decided to go for the continuity of the Immy rhymes between Skimmy, Jimmy, Timmy, Shimmy, and Sean.
You know, Corey, I think this might be the perfect segue into saying why I hate the living shit out of Dairy Dash.
Oh, also we have to say that me and Ian decided, it doesn't seem like they really have division rivals in this like they do in most sports. So me and Ian officially decided to list our rival for our personal team. Ian, go ahead.
And with that, Dairy Dash can go to hell.
Why is that?
Again, I'm all about the Freshers, and again, more on that later. But someone like Dairy Dash, I don't really know what their deal is. They seem very small town, Midwestern feel. They come up with these really cool names these really just bumfuck towns in these terrible states all over the country that are just entirely landlocked with no water within 800 miles. They seem like they're cool off the bat. Very individualistic, as you had said. These names that they have are the marbles on their team. Again, Yogi, M-Shakes, Cheesy, Cremo, led by Captain Buttercup, and their coach 4-Pint. Again, very individualistic and cool sounding. Who wouldn't want to get a beer with M-Shakes or Yogi? Again, Cremo.
I heard Cremo can pound Baileys better than anyone else on this planet.
Cremo started boob-loosing when he was 3 years old.
I really all right, so the semi-skimmers have an official rival, and that's the assholes from Milky Madness. Let me tell you why. First off, a Coach Maurice. When is the last time you thought you were going to have a good time at a party with a guy named Maurice? He just sounds like a complete buzzkill. You got
May I remind you that Maurice was the name of the hotel employee who beat up Holden Caulfield in The Catcher in the Rye.
Oh, my God. Well, that explains why I thought he was a complete buzzkill. Also...
You're welcome. Shout out J.D. Solinger. Rest in peace.
J.D. Solinger is rolling around in his grave right now that Maurice gets a second shot at glory.
Actually, he was kind of a perv, so you know what? I guess screw J.D. Solinger and screw Milky Madness. Keep going.
All right, Milky Madness in general. First off, completely unoriginal names here. I mean, did you just pick off names, or did you base off talent? And spoiler alert, for those who don't know, they picked off names because their talent freaking sucks. they got Mike, Mikey, Michael, Mickey, and Michelle. In case you haven't noticed, they are the same name but gender neutral. Which I guess in 2020 is pretty cool, but at the same time, when's the last time you wanted to get a beer with a guy named Mickey either? And I sound like an alcoholic because that's the only analogy I have is whether you want to get a beer with them. But at the same time, just think about it.
The names on Milky Madness kind of reminds me of one of those like sister wives families in Utah.
It was like Mitt Romney's alternate family.
Yes, exactly. His ex-girlfriend's family that she ended up having.
They were all actually Mitts. It was Mitty, Mittel, Mitty, and then Mattel. And then they had to switch their names because of the bastard Mitt Romney.
This is the first time that we're ever considering Mitt Romney to be the one that got away.
Let me tell you, we're all thinking it. Paul Ryan, close second.
So Corey, what about the semi-skimmers that really appeals to you?
Well, like I said, Coach Slim, one of the great coaching names. It's a great desire of mine to be like Coach Slim. I know he studied long and hard at the University of Stanford to be a great marble coach. And those who can't coach, as you've heard. Captain Skimmy, I mean, he's tried and true. I'd like to think he's like the Peyton Manning of the marble world. He's got a personality, but at the same time, the minute he hits that ramp, he's kind of a badass.
Mm.
And Jimmy, Timmy, and Shimmy, obviously triplets at birth. Most amazing story. You got to ask the wife, Jimmy. Don't ask me how the name's Jimmy. That's personal. And Sean, like most in this, was the throw-in, as we've said. It was like we're going to try to keep continuity with the name, but unlike those bastards from Milky Madness, we decided to go off course.
I'm telling you, it's an oopsie baby.
But you know what? I also think, who doesn't love a good skimmer in the pool? Keeps your pool clean. You can't keep it. And let's face it, not all of us are great swimmers. Semi-skimmers for the dub, baby.
Here's why.
I would love to know why you picked the freshers, though.
Well. I think competing with Coach Slim for the best coach name, you said it yourself, is Dr. Fresh. I mean, if that doesn't make you want to go sit outside in the sun with a Fresca and just a great book, I don't know what the hell's wrong with you. Then we get led by Captain Frankie, followed by Roman, Eli, Stuart, and Henrietta. To me, it just sounds like a Baywatch reboot. Everything about that. I'm getting New Kids on the Block vibes. And the whole narrative, Dairy Dash, against the freshers, it just feels like college football, you know. It feels like a West Coast offense, a Pac-12 sort of feel. Spread offense going against a team from like Iowa or Wisconsin who are too hot on themselves and think that their small town ways are just the name of the game. But I say, air it out. And the freshers, something cool about them, they're the most inexperienced of the bunch. They started, I believe the announcer said they started about maybe like 6 to 8 months ago. They're the newest team in the last marble standing competition. So, I mean, I guess you could say, you know, a bit of an underdog. Maybe they could have like a Vegas Golden Knights sort of.
I was going to say that.
Immediately they launched to success, maybe hit the podium. Here's hoping. We got 3 events left, and I say a very promising future. So I'm team freshers, tried and true.
If not now, then later, for sure.
Exactly.
You got some spry young legs, ready to roll in all the events.
Corey, the future is now.
Or later. Whatever comes first. Time-wise, we're thinking now.
I'm hoping now. For the purpose of this, hoping now.
I feel like Grays of Glory is definitely like a girl favorite here because what girl doesn't love cows, I guess. But, you know, I think they really tried to play for a market, and honestly, the Grays of Glory just gave me a bad vibe. Team Bluebell, that's very close to being a derogatory term. Also, Blazy and Blaze, what's the difference? Like, you obviously just picked conjoined twins.
One is an action, and then one is a reaction, if you know what I mean.
Oh, I am fully aware. And then we got Raze.
Exactly.
Like, for those who don't know, it's Rayze. Who the hell names their kid Raze?
I couldn't tell you. I've never heard of that before.
That being said, this guy came up with great names.
Yeah, I couldn't really wrap my head around what Grays of Glory stands for. To be entirely honest, I think it's cheap to rip off Blades of Glory. I think
a great film.
Again, I think Meadow was a stupid name. I feel bad for Meadow, and I just really can't figure out what sort of market they're playing to, why they're deciding to be a part of this, and what level of success they're going to have. So you know what? They're not bad, but they're not great. For me, they were middle of the pack.
Honestly, after the first event, like we'll talk about in a minute, the Grays of Glory went from like ugly stepsisters to freaking Princess of the Ball.
Yeah, someone found their diamond slipper really quick. Maybe it was Meadow. Maybe Meadow was doing the Charlie.
Meadow was tired of being the ugly stepsister, and she was ready to step onto the stage.
From Ugly Duckling to Christmas Goose, it's Meadow from Grays of Glory.
That bastard. All right, so we're going to talk about the first event here. We're going to talk about the first 3 events because as of this recording, that is the events that have taken place.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to talk about the funnel spin, and let me tell you, I was honestly confused. Me and Ian, by the way, have watched many Marble Olympics events over time.
Yeah,
I'm not going to say under what substance, but we have.
We have. I believe we started watching this back in January of the year in our Lord 2020, the year we're currently in. So I'd like to think that we, even though this is the fifth, I believe this is the fifth year that the Marble League has put on Marble League events. So we're a little late to the game, but in terms of the appeal that's coming right now without a world of sports, I'd say you and I, Corey, I'd say we're pretty OG in terms of popularity.
I don't want to have to step on your feet here, Ian, but I have watched the Marble Olympics for 2 years. I was introduced to it in 2019.
By who?
Our boys Cy Kazarian, Daniel Brammer, and Cooper Paradise.
Where was I?
I am not aware at this time, but I hate to break the news to you live. React accordingly.
Why don't I just hang up now? Is that what you want? Is that what you want right now?
That is not what we need.